Curse of Flesh is one of Azeroth's most significant historical events, having repercussions that can still be felt today. But what exactly happened here? Was this so-called curse really a dark gift from the eldritch abominations we know as the Old Gods? Or was this always a part of the Titan's grand design? Don't forget to like and subscribe, and come, take a seat by the fire as we find out. After the war between the Titans and the Old Gods had ended, the Old Gods were not content to remain imprisoned. Schemes and plots took fruition. One of those was the introduction of the Curse of Flesh into the Titanforged creations via the Forge of Wills. This so-called curse turned the stone and metal exterior of many of the Titanforged into flesh. All of the Titan creations were affected, from the stalwart earthen that became the dwarves, to the imposing Vrykul that became humans. Even the ingenious mechanomes were not resistant to the transformation. It was during a civil war, spurred on by the corruption of the Keeper Loken, later named the Winterscorn War, that the curse first began to present itself. Completely unsettled by this sudden change, many reacted in different ways. The so-called stunted Vrykul fled south with Tyr along with many others. Tyr and his close friends Ironaya and Arcades spent much time and obsession trying to reverse this curse. With little to no success and mounting failures, they placed themselves into stasis to continue their work at a later time. They were eventually found by adventurers and summarily dispatched. There were many negative ramifications to this curse. The newly freed minds were now susceptible to the whispers of the Old Gods. It is notable that this Curse of Flesh, while in this instance did originate with Yogg-Saron, it is not the only recorded instance of a similar method being used. To give examples of this, the Verloc Trogs within Deepholm attempted a similar curse upon the Therazane Stone Lords within the Crimson Thicket. This was in the hopes of turning them into giant fungal abominations, making them forgo any loyalty they once had to the court of Deepholm. Overall, the curse that Yogg used upon the Forge of Wills was highly successful. The new races were no longer immortal, highly susceptible to the corruption of the Void, and much more easily controlled. Creating beings of metal and stone was by design, to avoid these unfortunate negative effects in the first place. However, what never gets enough attention is the positive effects that the Curse of Flesh had upon the races of Azeroth. While it is most likely not the original intention for it, we only have to look at modern humans versus the metal Vrykul that they originate from to see a clear difference. The first in the list of benefits includes the increase in adaptability and creativity. Free thought allowed more innovation than was allowed in the Old Order. Look at what humans and dwarves have achieved since becoming flesh. Ironforge alone is a jaw-dropping sight to behold. While the advent of emotions also added a lot of chaos, as it often does, it also created a stronger peoples, ones not bound to the will of their creators, but ones seeking individuality. This strength is what allows mortals to overcome even the most impossible of tasks. The strength of will is not possible when you are but a mindless drone. It is impossible to imagine the world without this event now. How lifeless and dull it would have been had the status quo of pure order reigned. It is also possible the Titans designed this event to happen, eventually. The Curse of Flesh from Yogg was merely him activating the code on his terms, rather than the Titans. Once he sensed the demise of the Pantheon, he saw it as the perfect time to strike. The curse of flesh is quite obviously not a curse at all. It was just another tool used by the old gods to manipulate events to their liking, to reach their ultimate goal, to be free to feed upon the world soul once more. The positive effects were a lucky confluence for mortals, and if the Void did foresee it, they felt it mattered little. So why bring up this old event now? Well, that's because I mentioned the ramifications can be felt keenly, even today, and with the sudden resurgence of Yogg-Saron in the lore, it is likely the origins of this curse can be explored within the patches. As we discussed earlier, it was alluded to in the Discs of Norgannon that perhaps this reversion to a biological state was always planned by the Titans. The use of metal and stone on Azeroth was said to be out of necessity. Was it then the unlocking of this inner code, or perhaps a similar, more universal way of altering states? We saw with the mutation of the insectoid races of Azeroth, the Mantid, the Akia, they were also altered. I mention this here because it is looking more and more likely that the forced shifting of alignment is something that all of the higher cosmic magics are capable of. We have seen it with arcane, death, order, chaos, and even life. We propose then that it was the first ones who were able to shift alignments, that it was their technology and process to do that which was taught to their prime creations, those being the cosmic pantheons of each domain. It appears more than ever that even the higher magics cannot exist without each other. The great balance that we were taught about appears very much to be true. That only with this great interwoven web can the actual world of Warcraft exist. However, this has far more questions than we have possible answers to right now. I propose a question to all of you then. Do you think that the alignment shifting magic was something the first ones taught to them? Or do you think it was something they left behind and perhaps discovered? For anyone trying to understand the process better, we can look to the Argus fight, the boss battle at the end of the raid and Taurus, the Burning Throne. The mechanics of the fight here are actually indicative of the process of Titanforging itself. And one last noteworthy mention is that the Curse of Flesh can be used on a large scale, even to the environment itself. We have seen this in the past, by another name, Re-Origination, the failsafe device left behind by the Titans in order to reorder the world, should systemic corruption take hold, and by reorder they mean sterilize all life, any signs of freedom, bringing everything back to the original Titanic ordered state. So in conclusion, the Curse of Flesh was not a curse at all, but rather another tool used by the old gods to manipulate events to their liking. The positive effects were a lucky confluence for mortals, and the Titans likely had a hand in it as well. The ramifications of this event can still be felt today. It serves as a reminder of the power of the higher cosmic magics, and the great balance that exists within World of Warcraft. Let me know what you think, and don't forget to come back anytime.